Welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us on this Monday. I'm Sean Stires. Vince DeDario is here as well, chomping on his cookie as we get ready. We got to make sure that your blood sugar stays up for this show because it's going to be heart pounding is what it's going to be today.
Well, I mean, it's a Marcus Freeman has a line-driven program. We have a line-driven show today.
Oh, yeah, we do. Good point.
Yeah.
Good. That was starting to fly past me for a second, but you're absolutely right. We're going to hear from Joe Rudolph, offensive line coach on today's show. Literally line-driven. Well done. Well done. Ring that bell. Ring that bell.
Yes.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, so Patrick has been waiting for us in the YouTube chat. He says, slackers, I've been waiting here since last Wednesday. A few other people, maybe. I mean, didn't you see us? We must have been hanging out in the room next door. Like we were here. I don't know where you were.
Yeah, seriously.
Vince was away on spring break last week. Jesse is still on vacation right now. My wife had ankle surgery, so I've been doing a lot of extra things at home. It'll be nice when that cast comes off, but she'll probably be milked that for a little while. I'm sure she's not listening on her way home right now, so I can say pretty much whatever I want to say. But in any case, got a real vacation actually lined up next month, so hopefully she's
nice
and able to go for that. But we are back after a few days off and ready to go, ready to talk some Notre Dame football with you today. We are less than 2 weeks away from the Blue Gold game, Vince, the 95th annual Blue Gold game. And of course, you can hear all the action here on Sports Radio WSBT. It's a 2:00 Eastern time kickoff Saturday, April 25th. I'll call the game. I'll have the play-by-play. Vince and Jesse will be there with me at Notre Dame Stadium doing their color. We haven't talked about the logistics of the three-man booth because I know neither one of you really favor the three-man booth. But the places you can listen, of course, 96.1 FM, 960 AM. It streams live on the Sports Radio WSBT app. No Odyssey app, I don't believe, for this one, but the Sports Radio WSBT app, and also on the Sirius XM Notre Dame channel. So there you go. Blue Gold.
Be everywhere.
Week from Saturday. Yeah. And we've got, we can't broadcast, of course, the Jersey scrimmage, but we've got that coming up.
That's too bad because that would be a fun one to broadcast.
It would. Some actual hitting out there and all the good stuff. So.
And based on some of the highlights that have been put out there, it appears as though, I want to say they were in the stadium a little bit the past couple of practices.
From the weekend. Yeah.
So that's
You're
good.
Actually right about that. I meant to write down a couple notes on that, and then I forgot. So it's like I've got all that extra time. It just consumed me being away for 5 days. So there were times when I was off, and I'd start to go, maybe I could do this. Start to get ready, and I'm not like, no. There's a reason. There's a reason you're off. Take the time off.
I know.
Relax. Let the work come when it comes. So
I was still cutting podcasts in my hotel room. So
wow,
it never ends.
That's a good time. Like you couldn't even get out of that on your vacation.
Nope. I got out of cutting video because I don't think the internet would have been able to withstand that particular chore. But podcasts were still.
I tried to post a video when I was in Fort Worth in my hotel, and that was a chore. Man, it took forever. Like really,
exactly.
I think it took 2 hours to upload that stupid thing, and it's and I had to keep, refreshing it to make sure the computer didn't go into sleep mode and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
WNBA draft is tonight. By the way,
is it tonight? What time is that at?
It starts at 7:00 as the show ends.
Perfect.
Our show ends live. ESPN's last mock draft has Kassan Prosper going in the third round to the Chicago Sky with the number 32 overall pick. It's the second pick of the third round, 4 picks ahead of where Toronto picks in the third round. And of course, Cass being a native Canadian. So we'll see.
So I know, like in the NBA, if you're a first round pick, you got a guaranteed contract and all of those kinds of things. I don't even know if you know the answer to this, but is it similar in the WNBA?
I don't think so. I've heard of first round picks getting cut at the end of in the WNBA within the last few years. Now, I don't know if any of that changed with the new collective bargaining agreement and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's a lot more money flowing around, but I'm not sure as far as, that particular part of it. So
I was just curious. I mean, I watched the draft last year because there was some Notre Dame flavor, obviously, in the draft last year. And then, excited to see what happens with Cass and Olivia Miles. For you and I and Jesse kind of talked about that a little bit today in our little group chat. And where she's going to end up. She's going to go at the top of the draft someplace, and what that looks like. And then probably next year we'll have another one to talk about, I would imagine, at the top of the draft.
Yeah, we'll have a little bit more at the very top of the draft to talk about. I think the conversation next year is going to be, will Hannah Hidalgo go number 1 overall? Those kind of things. So
how cool would it be if within a month's time frame Notre Dame had someone go number 1 in the WNBA draft and number 1 in the NFL draft?
Ooh, good call, Vince. Good call.
Because that could be fun.
Literally like less than 2 weeks apart.
Right.
Very well could. That sounds like a rapid fire-ish question for future days.
There you go. Write it down, baby.
Yes.
But I think both of those are legit possibilities. So
they are. They're very legit possibilities. That's right. Yeah. Of course, talking about WNBA Hannah Hidalgo and NFL CJ Carr. I think those are both up for grabs a year from now. So good one.
It'd be fun.
I didn't even connect those dots.
I didn't until 30 seconds ago.
Week in Arkansas gets you is Vince DeDario coming back, sharp mind, empty pockets.
All of the above.
All right. This is an offensive line driven show. So let's hear from offensive line coach, Joe Rudolph. Vince has got his shirt buttoned up like he's an offensive line coach or something.
I'm ready. All the way to the top.
Up to the upper deck.
This Under Armour shirt's a little weird. Like this one feels too high, but then if you unbutton it, it feels like it's too much.
I've got not that exact shirt, but I've got an Under Armour shirt that does exactly that. It drives me nuts. I feel like, because I don't wear the undershirt either. And then, so like, I feel like I've got like the hair V, sticking out if I don't have it buttoned up to the top. But my neck is so thick that I don't like it button it up any higher than I have.
This is too high. Like it has bothered me all day long because I like the shirt. I don't really want to get rid of the shirt.
Have you been going back and forth the whole time?
Oh man, it's brutal. And then I have like an earpiece, for my walkie-talkie, and I put the microphone right here, and it feels like it was like up in my throat all day. Yeah, not a fan, but I like the shirt. So what can I say?
Yeah, what can you say? Let's hear from Joe Rudolph. I don't know. Felt like Joe had his button figured out when we got to talk to him recently over at Notre Dame. And the first question Joe Rudolph, Notre Dame offensive line coach, fielded was, you can probably guess it.
Mm-hmm.
It was about the move of Anthonie Knapp to left guard, from left tackle to left guard, and the insertion of Will Black at left tackle this spring. So here's Joe Rudolph.
I've been really pleased with it. I've been first pleased with the way that Anthonie has embraced the intricacies of guard. Like it's different, and at first you kind of want to do everything the way that you've done it in playing tackle, and you can get away with some things, but eventually it shows up. And I've been really excited about the way he's been like, man, I want to learn this, and I want to understand it, and I want to know it better. And then his working relationship with Will has been really good, the way they communicate before and after each play, the way they continue to grow. So it's been a real positive, better, probably a little bit better than I anticipated.
A little bit better than he anticipated. Is it almost kind of scary, Vince, like how well this seems to be working this spring, since this is, like the thing that a lot of people have been talking about for a while now?
I think that's the thing. It's like, I don't know that I still believe it's happening. I've been kind of
still feel like a fever dream at some point.
I feel like we have wanted this for so long, and certain alignments and certain lineups and things like that we have pushed and we've wanted, and it just never seems to come to fruition. So we always have something to complain about. And now we don't have that because they did exactly what we wanted them to do. And it's like, is this actually happening? I mean, I think it is amazing that it's happening. I am not surprised that it's working out as well as it is. I'm just surprised. I'm still surprised that it's actually occurring. That's where I'm at. I'm so surprised that they actually did it.
I kind of am as well. And I think that we always hear, well, we're trying to get the 5 best guys on the field, on the offensive line. And a lot of time it feels like lip service. But
right.
I think Will Black just kind of became undeniable, like when they were probably watching him throughout last season as a freshman. Now, like he was a freshman, so I'm not trying to argue that he was maybe the best option for last year, because they had, especially for, like for the inside guys, I don't think Knapp, would have been like one of the better choices at either of the guard spots or center last year. And I don't think that Will Black, as a true freshman, they probably felt was the best option at left tackle, which left you with what they had was Knapp at left tackle. But like it just really, again, they talk about trying to get the 5 best guys on the field, and it really feels like when you hear Joe Rudolph talking about it, and when you see them out there on the field in the limited glimpses that we've had so far this spring, it's like meeting everyone's expectations and then some. You kind of keep waiting for, well, I'm really not so sure about this, but we haven't heard that from anyone, either Rudolph or Denbrock or Marcus Freeman.
Right. And, we had arguments in the past. It's like, where should Charles Jagusah play and what should that look like? And I know I said it wrong.
Say his name right.
I don't even know how to say it. Charles, CJ.
I've got to make sure that go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, there was always, they were never doing it right. That's what it felt like, right? So they were never doing it right. And now they're doing it right. And everything's falling into place. And it just feels so correct. Like it feels like this is the way that it's supposed to be. And, when Ashton Craig comes back and if Charles J comes back, what that could look like potentially for this offensive line is even more exciting. So, I don't even, it is like a fever dream. I can't believe that it's actually happening. Because Anthonie Knapp is going to be an All-America caliber guard. There's no question in my mind. He's that good. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact now that I can praise Anthonie Knapp and feel good about it, and not just to appease people or, that kind of stuff.
And I think that he can use his assets really, like he can more fully use them playing guard compared.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he just obviously the footwork, that was kind of, it didn't feel like the footwork and the instinct, really. It didn't feel like he had that out there playing left tackle, the ability to move the way he did. But he's a very strong guy. We've seen the videos of him in the weight room and all that kind of stuff. And it feels like in a more confined space, like the close quarter stuff, that plays to Knapp's strengths much better.
We know he's a road grader. We know that like the running game was never an issue with him at tackle. Like that was never an issue whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It was the feet quickness, trying to get out on the perimeter. Sometimes guys that were quick defensive ends could get around him because his feet weren't quite as quick. Now, he got markedly better from year 1 to year 2, and he probably would have gotten better from year 2 to year 3, but guard suits him so much better because he's operating in a tighter space. He's going to be so much better in pass pro than he was at tackle. And I just can't wait to see it. I mean, he's just going to absolutely blossom at this position.
We'll get to see it. Little Jersey scrimmage action this Saturday. Close quarters. The media will get to see it. And then, of course, the blue gold game. Curious to see with all the injuries, like how they work the blue gold. We haven't got the format for the blue gold game yet. I wonder what that's going to look like.
I really hope it's not like the Stableford scoring and like it's just.
I'm sure it will be.
If it is,
some of that,
that's what Jesse's in charge of.
Yeah, we'll get some of that 7-on-7 stuff again. Let Jesse handle the math. Is that what?
Yes, yes. He's the engineer. He's the numbers guy. He can handle all of that, all of the scoring. So I think if that's the case, then we found his role. Like that's what you can educate us on the scoring.
I think you're right about that. All right. So Joe Rudolph also asked about the benefit of an unproven guy like Will Black facing defensive ends like Boubacar Traore and Bryce Young in practice.
I think what we get out of Coach Partridge and the defensive line Bryce Young and Booby being prime examples. I think the defense, like what Coach Ash presents and the different difficulties and the fits, like we embrace the hard, and we know that the hard is going to allow us to find solutions to problems, and it'll help us to grow. Those two guys in particular, I think what's really helped them the most and what gives you confidence is when you know that you've been in really tough situations in the moment, the heat of it, and you got it right, and that you can trust your technique to do it again, and you can trust the guy next to you. And like that's earned. Like you don't just get through days of practice and say, well, they're good together. Like you get through days of practicing hard situations in which you have to count on that guy, and you have to know where he is, and he's got to know where you are, and you got to do it together. I think the more you get through that, and the more situations we put them in for that, the more they'll grow, and the more like in the heat of the moment, when you're in Lambeau and you're taking on what's like, are you going to be there for me at that moment? And I don't even have to think about it. I know it. So that's the challenge.
I mean, it's like the old iron sharpens iron thing, Vince. And, I know some people maybe don't necessarily always buy into it. What do you think?
Oh, I buy into it. I've seen it in practices, and, when you've got good on good going, it makes a difference, right? And guys take it up to another level when they know they're going up against a starter. And when you have a stud starter on the other end, you take it up even another level. And when you have ones versus twos, it's just different. I mean, there's just a different energy about it. It's more workmanlike, things like that. And then when you've got 1v1, now I will say this, you can't do it all the time, right? You do have to mix it up, but it's special when you get to do good on good, when you do 1v1, things like that. It's special. And so you want to make sure it maintains that special feeling and all that, so that guys get up for it. But it absolutely helps you because there is talent on that defensive side of the football. And there's no way you can convince me that going up against good talent is not a good thing for you.
No, that's exactly right. And, like as long as you're improving from it, because it's one thing, like if as a true freshman last year, if he was facing some of those guys and is just repeatedly getting whipped, and it's, it's like, okay, what benefit is this to either side, to the guy?
Absolutely.
To the guy
your butt kicked all the time is not beneficial either. Yeah.
Like I can remember, like my sophomore year in the wrestling room, I was a JV guy, and I was behind one guy at 138 who ended up winning a state championship that year. And then the other guy at 132, I was behind him as well. He went to state that year. And at the beginning of the year, you've got to do wrestle offs, and the state champ, like wipe me around the mat. But those are the two guys that I had to wrestle with all year long. And like going up against them, by the time I got to JV matches, that was nothing,
Yeah.
And it's like, but the confidence builds throughout the season, and the opportunities that I had, like to step on the varsity mat for the first time. I won my first two matches kind of filling in that year because one of them was injured, but it's because that's who I had to go against all the time. So like you're ready for the fire when you're going up against that competition, regardless of, especially if it's, like a head-to-head sport, whatever it happens to be, like even in baseball, like if you're going up against an all-conference type pitcher early on in your scrimmages, you're probably not going to do very well. But as you continue, to go on and, you learn from it and you continue to progress, I think that, there's going to be a ton of benefit for a guy like Will Black, who's never done it. And he's going against those guys all the time in practice. And then he rolls out there against Wisconsin and whoever it is, as the season goes on, he's going to be ready for it because that's what he's faced in practice, whether it's spring or fall or whenever it is.
Yeah, things should slow down for him significantly when he gets into live game reps and, all of those kinds of things. And that's where it's beneficial to have such a good defense, right? Because they can roll out a couple different guys to come at you, and there's not much of a drop off, right? So there's no way that it does not help Will Black. No way.
Michael is asking if Coach said booby. Did you hear that?
I did hear that, and it's the only thing that stood out to me in that entire.
Oh, when he was talking about Boubacar. Okay,
yes.
Yeah,
he called it booby, like Booby Miles. Like I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that slipped right by. But yeah, now that you mentioned that.
Oh yeah, he definitely said it, and it definitely stood out to me. And all I could think of is all the Booby Miles quotes from Friday Night Lights.
That's right.
Football.
You ever fill up the Gatorade cooler? Walk the dog. What else?
Come on, Bug.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll hear more from Joe Rudolph, Notre Dame offensive line coach. Some comments from him on his offensive line this spring. We've got some more. We'll hear a little bit from Marcus Freeman in the 6 o'clock hour as well in rapid fire. And there's an offensive lineman that Vince started to mention that we'll hear Joe Rudolph talk about here after we take this break. So we'll do that coming up next. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com continues on this Monday. Hope you're having a good day. I'm Sean Stires. Vince DeDario is here as well. So you were on spring break last week.
Yes.
But you're not supposed to talk about spring break. Was there a Fight Club situation?
It is kind of a Fight Club situation. We went out of town. It was a trip my wife really wanted to go on. It was a bucket list trip for her.
Okay.
And so we did it, and it was a lot of work. It was a lot. It was at times fun. It was also at times not fun. And here we are. So,
okay.
I don't want to get in trouble.
That's the nuts and bolts of it.
That's the nuts and bolts of it. I mean, it was a good trip. Like I said, it was way out of town. It was a plane ride away, kind of a deal. So, it was an adventure. It was definitely an adventure. I will say that.
Okay.
So we'll leave the people wanting more on that one.
I think I'm wanting more on that.
I'll give you all the stuff that you want, buddy, off the air.
Okay.
It's the on the air that
Is there any good stuff in it? Is there any good stuff?
Family time was good.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Patrick thinks I went to Ann Arbor. Definitely did not go to Ann Arbor.
No.
About
the opposite of I don't know if
directionally the exact opposite.
We said where you went. You can say where you went.
Oh yeah, we went to Arkansas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which doesn't seem like a common spring break destination.
It's not. It's definitely not. It's definitely not common. But we're not common. So there you go.
That's okay. All right. Tell your mom. Tell your pa. Vince went to Arkansas.
Lots of ma's and pa's down there.
Yeah. My dad was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. How close to Little Rock?
That's where we flew into.
Did you? Oh, you flew? I didn't realize you flew. I thought.
Oh no, we flew.
Family caravan and okay.
Oh God, no, we'd kill each other. That was not going to happen. Plus, we just didn't have enough days. You know what I mean? Because it would probably take 2 days to drive down, 2 days to drive back. That's 4. You know what I mean? So it's like we definitely did not go that route. We flew. We flew in and then rented a car and drove. So, yep. So I was in Little Rock for a little while. And actually, we spent the day coming home. We spent the day in Little Rock.
All right.
So, yeah, it's not as big as I envisioned in my brain.
It's been a long time. I remember when we were young, a lot of my dad's family lived in Arkansas. And so we went one summer. We went to, see his cousins and aunt and uncle or something like that, his dad's brother and wife and that kind of thing. And that's really my only memory of Arkansas. I mean, I've been to the Ozarks, which is southern Missouri, which, that part of the, kind of overlaps there. But that's about it. It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, this was a once or a first for me for sure. Flew in to the big, that was the closest airport basically. And then we drove for a little while to get to a very small area, very, very isolated area.
Okay.
So there you go.
Isolated in Arkansas.
Yeah. Isolated in Arkansas. It was great. Got pulled over. That was fun.
Did you really? Were you speeding?
Oh yeah. Yes, absolutely.
My experience is you don't tend to speed very much.
Oh, I speed all the time.
Do you?
Yeah. Okay. It was one of those deals where it was going fast, it was like 55 and then it was like 45, then it was 35 instantly because you're going into a little small town.
Yeah,
they got me. They got me good. They got me good.
Yeah. My wife got one of those when we were on a trip in northern Michigan a few years back. It was boom.
I mean, I didn't get a ticket, which was nice.
That was nice.
The guy was very nice. He took my license, make sure I wasn't, a criminal. So that was, that kind of thing. But let me go.
It's always the way to go. It's always the way to go.
It was good.
Okay, so I feel like before we talk about this next guy, we should verify something. Because
yes,
we're going to get more in depth in this in rapid fire. Notre Dame football on their social media platforms had a bunch of different football players giving the pronunciations of their names. And so this is number 56, offensive lineman. He's been injured for the last year. I'll just let him go ahead and give you the pronunciation of his name.
Worst pronunciations, I've got Jag Squash, Jagusah. I get Jagusah a lot. Jagusah.
Jagusah was the because I had to do a little bit of an edit there so that we had his Jagusah is how he
Jagusah.
Yes.
Jags. He's Jags now.
See, nobody wants to say it. I feel like he was asked this at some point, either in training camp or last spring, and he said that, and it's like no one wanted to believe that that's the real pronunciation of his name. But Jagusah is what he says it is. So there you go.
Jagusah. Jag or jog? Jog.
First pronunciations, I've got like jag squash, Jagusah. I get Jagusah a lot. Jagsaw, Jagusah.
Jagusah.
It's like jogging.
Jagusah.
Okay.
Yes.
Jagusah.
Yes. There you go.
Man.
I know. It's going to throw people up. Nobody's going to get it right.
No, not at all.
Because the way they did it, he did all the incorrect pronunciations, and then him and a couple other guys did that, and then they like edited and went back and had them all say their name correct. So I had to kind of put the correct pronunciation.
Oh, right.
I remember whenever he did this, I think it was probably last spring. I tried to get the cut to play it on the show where he was just saying his name, but it was too short, and it wouldn't let me process something that short, so we never could play it. So Jagusah, though, is how you say it. That's the pronunciation, according to Charles.
I sent you a text, by the way, that you're going to want to look at. It's breaking news, I believe.
Oh, wow. Marcus Burton, Notre Dame point guard. I saw something earlier today that Indiana was the favorite to get Marcus Burton, and now Marcus Burton on his Instagram account has himself in an Indiana uniform, and it apparently is official. So Marcus Burton is an Indiana Hoosier now.
Gross.
Man.
I'm not overly surprised by that. He's very, very close with his family. And so him not leaving very far is not surprising at all. And obviously IU needs a little punch up. And so it makes a lot of sense, but still don't like it. Don't like to see it.
Yeah. Well, there was that talk. He was visiting Houston apparently last week. And I that's obviously a lot farther away than Indiana. And like you said, with his family being from here. But even then, like, I didn't feel like the kind of defense that Houston plays, I didn't feel like that was a move for Marcus Burton.
Gotcha.
Like you gotta play some physical defense if you're going to play for Kelvin Sampson. I don't feel like really that's his game. Do you?
No, I don't. I mean, he can play D. Don't get me wrong.
No, I'm not saying he's a horrible defender, but I don't.
Right.
You got to play. You got to play.
I just don't know that he's built like that. You know what I mean? Like he would take a pounding
for a guy for a guy who's had some injury history. It doesn't feel like that's the kind of style for him. But Marcus Burton going to the Indiana Hoosiers. So, man.
I mean, hey, good for Marcus. I'm sure he's cashing in. That's great for him. What an ugly looking jersey.
Patrick in the chat says, I believe you call it yogging on the pronunciation. Little Anchorman reference there. I like that. All right. Well, so Marcus Burton for at least this year, if not next year as well, is going to be an Indiana Hoosier. And I see people in the chat, talking about Mark Cuban and the money. Look, a lot of schools are throwing it around.
And I don't blame them. Look,
Indiana is still a basketball school, and they just won a football championship, so they've got an even bigger influx. Now they got to share some of that with the Big Ten, but still, there's an even bigger influx of money. Like I'm glad someone's spending it. Let's put it that way.
I know. I'm with you, and I don't blame a single former Notre Dame player for trying to go get paid. I don't blame them at all. They tried it here. It didn't work. And now they're going to go make some money. And good for you. Good for you. So a couple guys have found spots from Notre Dame at this point. And obviously there's a couple guys still looking. And I'm sure they'll figure it out here real soon.
Yeah. Cole Serta is a Clemson Tiger now. as well. We were going to talk about that in rapid fire, and we still will. We'll probably come back to Marcus Burton in rapid fire as well, since it's like you never really know when these things are going to drop. And,
I know.
Seems like most of them drop at 7:15 after the show ends.
Of course they do. And then by the time
in the
we
middle,
roll around 23 hours later, it feels like it's old news, you know?
It's just very odd after seeing Marcus Burton in a Notre Dame uniform the last couple of years, seeing him wear a red Indiana Hoosier uniform. But
he's still got 2 years of eligibility. I mean, he could be down there for 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, Indiana's got a ways to go. Like, Purdue has become the class of the state of Indiana when it comes to men's basketball. And Indiana's trying to catch him now. They've got a homegrown guy. They're obviously going to, pay Marcus Burton something. They're going to pay him much closer to market value than what he would have gotten if he had stayed at Notre Dame. And they're, I think that especially when you look at what happened, who won the national championship, Michigan with Dusty May, an Indiana guy, a former IU manager under Bobby Knight. I think that Indiana knows they've got some catching up to do, but they've known that for a couple of decades now, and they've just been treading water for a long time. So hopefully it works out for Marcus Burton, and I guess we'll see if it works out for Indiana at the end of the day.
I was just looking at Twitter, and obviously a few different people have posted about him, announcing that he's leaving or whatever. They said he's a 6-foot junior. Yeah, he ain't 6 foot.
What shoes is he wearing?
Yeah, like he and I almost look eye to eye.
Maybe those Adidas have a little bit more, in the soles of the shoes. I don't know.
Yeah, that he ain't 6 foot. Maybe with the hair, but right. I don't know how tall his coach is. There's a picture of him and his coach, but he's very much shorter than his coach. Like his eyes come up to his coach's mouth. So yeah, he's not 6 foot. But.
Carlos is asking if we saw the report that claims Notre Dame is spending $39 million on football.
Look, you'll never know how much Notre Dame is spending on football. That will never be a public number. So whatever number is out there is erroneous. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But I would doubt that it's that high. But it's possible.
I don't know. You'll
never know.
Because I always see them lumped in those stories of the teams with the 30 million plus rosters. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense when you're looking at what's not going into basketball right now, and we hear what is going into football.
No, for sure.
It makes sense. And as we've talked about, football is the priority. So it wouldn't shock me if
Notre Dame wouldn't shock me. I feel like that.
Look at everyone they've been able to keep.
Yeah.
Plus who they were able to bring in. Like, you're not doing that for nothing these days.
Because wasn't Texas Tech like 28 million or something last year, and everybody's making a big deal about that. So this is 11 million more than that. Is it possible? Sure. Like it would, like you said, it wouldn't surprise me. But we'll never know what that number is because they're a private school. They don't have to tell you.
Yeah. So, and like in the Mike, as Michael says, the number isn't just NIL. It's all salaries, which includes taxes.
Oh, well, if you're
now I don't know about that, but even, just like people call it NIL, but it's not all straight NIL. The monetary.
Like, is it revenue sharing
because
involved?
Rev share is still included in that, like what guys are getting paid and everything else. So
I don't care. Like,
I don't think anyone cares. Look, it's on. The priority is DCAFs. It's to win a national championship. And if you're going to win a national championship, like Notre Dame is as close right now in football as they've ever been. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have to spend a pretty hefty sum.
And if let's say they are spending $39 million, you're going to make that back plus probably 3 times as much if you win a national championship, just on gear and promotions and all the things that come with winning a national championship. You'll make all that money back, then some. So spend away, friends.
Exactly.
Spend
you
away.
Win the national championship, and you're going to get even more windfall from the donors and everyone else, to putting more into it, because they're all going to want to keep winning. And like, let's say Notre Dame wins it this year, the investment for next year is going to have to be even more, because you're going to lose so many guys. You're like, not that they're going to go out and just wholesale transfer portal, but they're going to have to bring in more key guys who have experience in some different spots next year compared to this year, because we had so many guys back this year.
Right, and keeping guys around obviously is going to cost money. I mean, just ask Micah Shrewsbury how that works. So, I mean, you're just the number, unfortunately, unless they put some sort of a salary cap together for college athletics, like that number is going to get bigger every year. And I don't know when or where it stops. That's the thing. So,
well, and people throw these numbers around, the 30 million plus, like it's a pejorative. Look, it is what it is today. Like, if you want to win, Indiana, and again, I didn't see it as a negative on Indiana that, Mark Cuban or whoever else spent the money to put that roster together. You still did it at a place that had never won a college football national championship and had literally been one of the first programs forever, and you won a national championship. It's not just because you got a good coach. Part of it is because you've got a good coach, but the other part of it is you had to invest a lot of money to get those to get those guys to come in from the portal. Like, if you're naive to that, that's on you. Like,
right. Yeah, exactly.
It's not a negative by any means that these teams are spending money. If you want to win today and you want to win consistently, you've got to spend the money. And that goes for football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, whatever sport you're talking about, you've got to be willing to spend if you want to win. That's just what it is today. And, again, like the basketball roster left, and these guys are all going to make considerably more money at these other places, whether it's Marcus Burton or Cole Serta, whoever it happens to be, they're going to make more at these other places than what they were going to make here. So it is what it is at this point. Forgot to tell you, this is a 3-break hour. So I've got to take one more break. Then we're going to hear Joe Rudolph talk about Charles Jagusah and another comment or two before we wrap up hour number 1 of Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. We continue Budweiser's Weekday Sportsbeat with IrishBreakdown.com. I'm Sean Stires, along with Vince DeDario. We started the hour talking about with some comments from Joe Rudolph, Notre Dame offensive line coach, and some breaking news popped up in the middle of the hour. Former Notre Dame point guard Marcus Burton, local guy, Penn High School, of course, and from here in Mishawaka, I believe, is officially his hometown, but he has announced that he is committed to the Indiana Hoosiers, and so that's where he is transferring. And I just saw this, that IU, with the addition of Marcus Burton, also they've already added a couple other guys, Jaden Mustaf from Georgia Tech and Darren Harris from Duke. So they've added, including Marcus Burton, a couple former 4-star guys, and Darren Harris, a 3-star guy from Duke. So Darian DeVries, pretty busy in the transfer portal down there at Indiana, adding Marcus Burton today.
Sad but true.
Yes.
I knew he was going to end up someplace, and I was going to have to watch him in a different uniform.
Sting a little bit more, seeing him go to Indiana.
I was
local guy especially.
I was trying to decide, would it have stung more if he went to Michigan or IU? I think IU is the answer for me personally. But, you got to do what's best for you. And like I said, he's very tight with his family. And so I'm not overly surprised. He's got a brother who's a freshman at Penn, who's going to be a sophomore in the fall. So, I get it. It makes sense to stay close. And
he's only the second local guy, from here in the area to go to IU. Who's the guy from Riley? Remember a few years back, he transferred to Loyola Chicago.
Yeah, gosh,
his name, it's slipping my mind. He was the first. That was only what, maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, it was more than that, because that was
before, that long ago. I guess it was. We're approaching probably 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, because I think he was in school for like 6 years because he transferred a few different times and all of that. I'm gonna have to, gosh, why is it escaping my brain? I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but it's Demezi Anderson.
Anderson.
There you go. Came into my head. Demezi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
I was gonna.
He was the first guy from the area to go to Indiana in a long time, and so that Marcus Burton obviously didn't start his career at Indiana, but he's still a local guy, and he ends up there now. So. All right, let's finish the hour with a little bit more from Joe Rudolph. The update on Charles Jagusah, who we just got the official pronunciation of from the lips of Charles Jagusah. But offensive line coach, Notre Dame offensive line coach Joe Rudolph asked a little bit about what the future holds for Jagusah in terms of his recovery as he continues to try to work his way back from that injury that he suffered, breaking his arm in that accident last 4th of July.
Yeah, so Charles been coaching his butt off. You know what I mean? He's got his coaching hat on, and he's ultra engaged, and he's got a vision, and he's got his journey, and like Coach Free and the staff we work with, like they're amazing. Like your enjoyment of who you get to do it with is special. And when he gets up and he speaks about the bumpy road, we talked to Charles, like, Charles, this is going to be your bumpy road. This is going to be your story. This is what's going to make you different than anyone else in this world. Like, you're going to be able to tell this story about what you overcome, what you went through, and who you became. And Charles knows that, and he understands that, and he's putting work into that every day. So he's very active with us. He's learning every last detail. We communicate about different opportunities he can when he's back and he's going. But the main thing right now is get a little bit healthier each day, keep your vision on the big picture, and win the day at hand. And he's been doing that. It's been a journey. There's no doubt. It's been a journey. It's been a bumpy road. But the love that we have for him and the love that I think he has for that group, it's going to get him there. He'll be with us at some point.
So no, nothing definite, obviously, on Jagusah, but just a lot of bumpy road. Unfortunately, the road has been very bumpy for Charles Jagusah since he's been here at Notre Dame.
I feel like that's actually a nice way to say it. It's just he's just been so injury plagued. I mean, he's never started a regular season game in all the time that he's been here, and he's about to graduate. So that tells you, and he was going to start as a true freshman. Like that was his trajectory. He was going to start as a true freshman. He could have been a full 3-year starter at this point. going into his senior year. But that it just didn't materialize that way. And so, could he still make his mark on Notre Dame? 100%. He's got at least 2 years of eligibility left. And so, you would hope that he's going to be healthy for those 2 years, and that'll be all fantastic, and it'll be great. But as of right now, bumpy road is an understatement.
Yeah. I mean, Joe asked if he's going to petition for more years. I mean, at this point, he just has to get healthy and have a year where he can get on the field. Like, he's got to worry about the first year, not more. I'm sure at some point, if and when he gets healthy enough, that will be a consideration. But I also think that given the injury history that he has, like, if he can get himself on the field and play a full season and play at the level that we all know that he can play at, I think he's just going to jump straight to the NFL after that. Like, he's not going to worry about more seasons in college. Again, I realize there's money in college now and everything else, but like, you get yourself to the NFL if you're capable of playing at that level and get that contract started, work toward the second contract and all that kind of stuff, because like it's just very unfortunate, everything that he's gone through. Because like even now, like with the follow-up surgeries that he's had just within the last month, like once he finally gets back and recovers from all that, it's not just like, okay, now you're going to walk straight back on the field and you're ready to play. There's a lot of strength that he's going to have to be able to build back up in that upper body after breaking that arm and not being able to do anything for basically, almost a year now.
Yeah. I mean, and think how strong you have to be in your upper body to be an effective offensive lineman at this level. I mean, and he hasn't been able to lift and work out at all in the upper body, and so yes, his lower body will probably be ready to go, but only so much, because there's only so much you can do if you can't use your upper body at all either. So
yeah, I mean, there are things you can do with your lower body, but like you probably can't squat, which is like the main, and you obviously can't do any, cleans or anything like that. So like even the lower body, is going to have to be built back up. So, because you're just so limited with what you can do with an injury like that.
Man, it's just, it's going to take some time, and it'll probably take more than just the summer. So, thinking that he's going to be ready to go when fall camp starts is probably a pipe dream. I think what Marcus Freeman had said the last time we spoke to him is that, mid-October, be ready for the stretch run kind of a situation. Mm-hmm. Obviously you hope that the offensive line is operating on all cylinders at that point, and, he can make them better or just be a great sixth man potentially, just depending on how things are going, So, we'll see.
Antoine says Knapp and Black will be like having Alt and Quentin Nelson.
Woo!
That's
okay.
That's some big words right there.
I would say I would hope so. I think that would be fantastic, but I'm not ready to say that without having seen either one of them play at the position they're currently playing.
Yeah. We can talk about this next Monday after we see them in action in the scrimmage on Saturday.
You get to see them. I won't. So you're
not going to be there? What are you doing?
It's my son's spring game.
You're going to go watch him swing his leg rather than the spring game.
I know you're not wrong.
All right.
I have actually pondered and sat with myself on this one. Do I want to go to the Jersey scrimmage, or do I want to go watch
the video clips? Like,
seriously, you're not wrong. You are not sitting. You are sitting on the mountain of right now, Sean Stires. The things we do for our kids. Let's just.
Oh, you're right. Way. You're right.
You're
absolutely right about that. We all know. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, hour number 2, it's rapid fire. We'll hear from Marcus Freeman. We'll get more into the Marcus Burton, Cole Serta stuff as Notre Dame men's basketball transfers begin to find new homes elsewhere. The transfer portal has been open for less than a week at this point, and a couple guys have found new homes, including Marcus Burton today, committing to Indiana. Cole Serta has committed to Clemson. So we'll talk about that and more, including that Marcus Freeman stuff and some other fun topics in rapid fire in hour number 2 of Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Boom! It is hour number 2 of the show. I forgot to unmute myself on the good old YouTube side, but I am here, and we see the face of Bobby Hensley in the bottom of the screen as he joins us like he always does on Mondays for Rapid Fire, along with Vince DeDario as well. How are you today, Mr. Hensley?
I'm doing great. How's everybody else doing?
Doing good. We had some time off last week. Vince has got a puzzled look on his face.
I was gonna say Vince didn't sound too.
You're not
happy.
doing great, Vince?
I'm doing fantastic. It just didn't sound like Bobby's doing great. I heard the words. The inflection wasn't there.
You just didn't believe it.
I don't believe it.
Well, I'm here with you guys. What else could I want? Like, this is the highlight of my day.
Should be.
But it is. I mean, I look forward to this all week. I don't know about you.
I get surprised every time you pop in, every single Monday. So
that's a little bit on you to not remember it.
You're not wrong. I mean, you are not wrong. I just have decided not to. The vacancy in my brain is not going to have this in it.
Literally, I think we've been doing this for what, like 3 months or something?
Oh, yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Going on 4.
Are you just a forgetful person? Like I am. I'll forget where I put my keys.
Yes and no. Depends on the situation. But yeah, I'll go with yes. My wife would say yes.
She's never wrong.
Right. Never. So
you can't ask the wife. That's just uncalled for, unfair. We're never going to win that battle.
Never.
That's why we come here to talk sports.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Safe haven. This is a safe space.
Safe space.
Rapid fire time. Marcus Freeman was on the heard here on Sports Radio WSBT while we were away last week. Freeman was asked about the interest that he drew from the NFL and what his decision to stay at Notre Dame ultimately came down to. And here is what he had to say.
For me, the probably deciding factor was love for the job I have now and the care I have for the players, the support I have for this program. Listen, the NFL, the more I'm starting to realize you're set up to go 500 now, right? And they don't want you to be good. They don't want you to continuously win. They're going to make it as hard as possible when you do have success. And it's good to know, right? It was just things that I was made aware of as we continue to talk to some different NFL personnel and administrative. But I have such a special job, and one that is so well supported that we have to continuously work, but you're going to have opportunities to have success every single year. And so be careful of always wanting more when you have something really good.
All right. So there you go. Marcus Freeman addressing the NFL stuff. Quite honestly, I think that's the best answer that he's given to it, when of the times, because he's been asked about it a few times now over the last few months since the interest came up in December and January. So what's your biggest takeaway from that, Vince?
He's saying all the right things. And I as a fan, I so want to believe what he's saying. I'm hanging on every word. I'm like,
are you buying that answer more than maybe you've bought some of the other ones?
Yeah,
when
because
you hear him say that?
Was more detailed this time around than he has been in the past. And so he's making me into a believer. Hopefully not only to break my heart later on, but he's making me into a believer. I want to believe him so badly that I'm there. Like I'm right there. I'm right there.
It's like you both kind of said, the fact he went into detail and didn't just say, "Oh, it was just a discussion." No, it sounds like there was some smoke going there. So I appreciate the candor for him to be like, "Yep,
yeah,
we talked about it. This was a real thing. I looked at it. Here's why I didn't. I think it's all true. I don't think it's a solid no that he never wants to go, though." So I think your heart is going to get broken, Vince.
Well, I think like when you hear him talk about, like what interested me the most, what perked my ears up is when he started talking about like the parity stuff in the NFL, because obviously the way the draft is set up, like you don't see many teams like the New England Patriots who are successful for a long time anymore. You don't see even a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, even the success that they have had, until missing the playoffs last year, going to all those Super Bowls and winning 3 prior to that. That is obviously the exception. That is not the rule. Everyone else is just fighting to get into the playoffs more times than not. And that's the way it's set up. But when you look at the setup of college football, we were talking about how much money allegedly is being put into the Notre Dame football roster this year. Like, if you've got the resources, you can win in college football. You don't have to worry about a draft. If you've got the resources and the ability to go out and recruit, and you're getting the right guys, and you've built your program the right way, you can win every year. And there's a lot of control that you have in college, obviously, that you don't have in the NFL. They set up the schedule for you at, like everyone wants to point out, Notre Dame is setting up its own schedules. And, so you can be in the championship picture a lot easier, I think, in college if you're doing it right. Than like you can do a lot of things right in the NFL, and you're lucky if you're 500, like he's talking about. So like to hear him talk about it that way, it sure feels like he's weighed a lot of that stuff. And I know Vince is shaking his head. He's still concerned about the future.
But you're absolutely right as far as the details that he was providing in that answer. I mean, he has sat down and he's thought about it, which is good because he's not just chasing the NFL name, right? And I get it, man. Like, it is the best of the best. There are only 32 head coaches in the NFL, right? We hear it all the time about there's only 32 quarterbacks that can start on an NFL team, that kind of stuff. And I get it. It's the highest level. And there's 140, Division I coaches, right? There's 32 in the NFL. To get one of those jobs would be unbelievable. It'd be great. It's the highest of the high.
Best of the best, yeah.
But you're also at Notre Dame, which is one of the best of the best. And
and when you look at the percentages,
right,
especially the way that like where Notre Dame sits right now, they are at worst, they're one of the top 6 programs.
Right. And I would argue that being head coach at Notre Dame is better than being half of the NFL head coaches.
Right.
I think that's fair to say. And so, I think he is taking all of that into account because he talks about how this is this is the best job he's ever had, the people around him, and then how difficult it is to win in the NFL and the not for long stuff. And, all of those different things. I think he is actually taking it all in. And I don't even think he understands and realizes the way he could go down in history at Notre Dame if he just wins a championship. Just one. You win one, they're planning the statue. You know what I mean? I mean, look how revered Lou Holtz is at Notre Dame. He won one title,
Yeah.
But
it's also why, again, whatever the number actually is, that's why all the resources are being put into football, because the priority is to win a national championship.
Yes.
Because of like that, Pete Bavacqua has talked about, to stay independent, you've got to stay relevant, and there's nothing more relevant than winning it all. Winning
right
the thing that matters. Do you agree with what Joe is saying, though, that if he wins a national championship, he ultimately moves on?
I believed that before. He's swaying me the other direction with some of his answers recently. I'll say that.
I think that the whole thing, it's got to be flattering to be considered for an NFL head coach. Like you say, there's only 32 and he keeps getting looked at. And sounds like he's getting offered a lot of them. So I think that like Vince said, though, it's important that only half the jobs in the NFL would be worth a spot better than Notre Dame. So I don't think he wants to be an NFL coach just to be an NFL coach, because you don't go to the NFL and then move your way up necessarily through there. Once you're in it, you kind of stay where you are until you're fired or find something else. So I think Notre Dame is a perfect spot for him. And I think he knows that. He's good with these young men. He's really good at shaping this program.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about winning one national championship. We're going into a year where a lot of things are lining up. So this could be something special. And I don't think he'd be one and done if it happens.
I don't either. I think he is more apt to, you win that championship, you kind of hit that pause button, and you kind of, because that is the one thing about college football, is it is much more a year-round sport than even the NFL. Like those guys can step away and take a break, for periods, when they're not building, helping pitch in for the they don't have spring football practice. They have OTAs and all those little things.
And they prepare for the draft.
They're like a week at a time.
But it's
it's not like a full. Yeah, it's so different. in the NFL than it is in college. And you obviously don't have to worry about recruiting and, all those different
transfers.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was another comment. Irish for Life wants to know, which is more important right now, recruiting or doing well in the portal?
Well, I think it depends on what you put the emphasis on, because I think right now Notre Dame, it's recruiting. Like they put their eggs in the recruiting basket and they supplement with the portal. Like who they brought in the portal this year, they're important pieces, don't get me wrong, but it's what they've done in recruiting has been more important to their success. So,
this is why, like a lot of these transfer portal class rankings come out and stuff like that. And I know a lot of Notre Dame fans get mad because Notre Dame doesn't typically show up very high in those rankings, but it's also because they don't go out and get 20 to 25 guys. They're still getting a very select. Now, again, next year, they're probably going to have to get a few more just because of the expected turnover in the roster this year. It's going to be a lot greater this year than what it's been for the last several years. But at the same time, they've also recruited at a level where there are a lot of guys who you expect to elevate on the depth chart.
Right.
So it's still going, like for Notre Dame, it's always going to be much more of a mix. And, even like at Ohio State, I think it's more similar to Notre Dame, where like they recruit at such a level, they're still going to get guys in the portal, but they're also relying more heavily on their recruiting. Whereas at Indiana, at least for now, it's much more about the transfer portal than it is.
Perfect example. Example.
I think it's a fun debate, but you're right. Every instance is different. So it's like a pie chart almost, and what percentage for each team is different. How do you want to manage your allocation of funds, really? And if you're a team like Notre Dame, like Ohio State, you can go recruit. Hopefully you can invest them. They enjoy the culture of the team, and you build with them. And the perfect word that Sean uses, supplement. But not every school can do that. Like IU, they have to go buy their players in the portal, and it's worked both ways. So there is no right or wrong. It's whatever works for you. But Notre Dame's unique, where I think they can recruit really well. So they don't need to abandon that and just look at a rental for a year. They can actually cultivate and build a program, which I think will say more long-term for them than it will for some of those other programs. It's sustainable success by building with recruits.
And to me, doesn't it feel like, we've all three of us have been around Notre Dame football for a long time. You guys are both local homegrown guys, so, you grew up here, you've seen it for a long time. You work in the business, obviously, so you've been covering it for a long time now as well. But like when you listen to Freeman and you see everything else that's going on, does it feel like there's a better connection right now between the coach and the athletic administration, just the administration as a whole, than probably we've ever seen in the time that we've been doing this?
Big time. It's not even close. I think that, you've got an athletic director who wants to win in football, and he's willing to do what it takes to make that happen. And I'm not saying that Jack Swarbrick wasn't that way, because he did want to win, but
I mean, he's a big part of how it got to the point that it is right
100%. Now. He hired Marcus Freeman, right? Yeah. Like he's the one that is getting
and
the
he
new
hired
football
Brian
building.
Kelly. And again, you can't just totally
100%.
That, but there was definitely a lot more tug of war going on those days.
The administration, as far as the academic side, is way more amenable to what they're trying to do to build a roster. Way more. And it's not close. And I'm sure any former coach at Notre Dame would have been like, it would have been nice to have that. It would have been nice to have what Marcus Freeman has when it comes to admissions, that kind of a thing. And I understand that.
But you've also got guys who are much more bought into the guy who's the coach right now than, like a
absolutely
former coach who might have been saying, what about me? Why wasn't that going on for me?
100%.
Yeah. I feel like now it's almost like the Michael Jordan mentality. Like, they wanted to win before, but if they got close and it's like, well, that was a good season. Whereas now it's that Michael Jordan, no, we want to win. We have to win. What do we got to do to win for football?
Yeah.
And I love that. So no, I've never felt it like this around the program, around the campus. You can feel it. Like when football starts, you just know they're going to be good. You didn't always know that for a while there. You'd have runs that were good. And
that's a very good point.
Peaks and valleys, but this is sustained. It's been good. I just like the way that it's more of a winning culture, winning mentality, and not accepting a loss or not accepting good enough.
Because the schedule hasn't changed so dramatically in the last 10 years. Because remember, 2016 was the disaster year for Brian Kelly. Who they're playing hasn't changed so dramatically since then. But that, it's a good point that Bobby makes. It's like you're at the point now where you've built the program up to the point where people are complaining that you're playing such an easy schedule, even though the schedule hasn't dramatically changed that much in terms of the types of teams that you're playing year in and year out.
Right. And that there are much more difficult opponents on the schedule moving forward. It just so happens the way the schedule falls and the way just the way it all happened.
You've got some years where it's
because like this Lambeau game was supposed to happen in 2020. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
it is now happening here. So these schedules are fluid for a lot of different reasons. And this schedule was put together the way it was put together. It just is what it is. And obviously USC was supposed to be on the schedule and that didn't happen. So they had to adjust and BYU gets added, all of these different things. Like the schedule is fluid, but the Texases, the Alabamas, these teams are on Notre Dame's schedule moving forward. So it's still going to be tough.
Yeah, and they keep adding opponents. For a while, they would very rarely schedule an SEC opponent. Now they can play them, and they compete with them. They beat them. The schedule stuff is just such a cop-out for Notre Dame haters, I think, because the schedules are made mostly years in advance. And again, we talked about it earlier. The schedule stuff bugs me, but they've done enough to be an independent. You have to stay relevant. They've done that. The schedule is what it is. It doesn't matter to me. They still are a good football team. I don't care who they're playing. They're in that upper echelon.
No, you're exactly right. Because like Pate is just the latest example of this. But I saw, as I was scrolling on social, doing my doom scrolling and, the videos pop up and whatever else, there he is talking about Notre Dame's soft schedule. And look, we've said this time and time and time again, and you can pull up just about any Big Ten schedule that you want. And if you lay it out side by side, Notre Dame's schedule is no softer than the majority. I'm not saying every, because I think Michigan is the one that, we singled out. Like they've got like 4 legit games on their schedule in terms of like teams that either made it to the college football playoff or expected to be in playoff contention this year. But if you lay out, Indiana, or, on down the line, the average Big Ten schedule is, no stronger than what Notre Dame's is going to be this year. But Notre Dame gets picked on because they're the independent and people want their shots at them.
And nobody cares that IU bought their way out of playing a couple of mid-level games last year on their schedule and added cupcakes like Old Dominion. But hey, that's fine. That's IU.
Right. Which is why I will say, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Kurt Cignetti is the coach at IU, I don't think Notre Dame and IU are playing.
No, they're afraid.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think IU is going to buy themselves out of it.
Well, they did play a couple of years ago and Notre Dame beat them, so.
It's true.
Oh, the playoff.
The playoff.
Never mind. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we've got more football to talk about. We've got some basketball, some transfer portal news as far as where some of these Notre Dame men's basketball players are going. We will do that next when Rapid Fire continues. Budweiser's Weekday Sportsbeat with IrishBreakdown.com. We continue rapid fire on Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com. Coming out of our final break of the show. So,
Whew. Rolling all the way, huh? Spread it to the finish.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Might not be a total.
I'd say
sprint,
a jog.
I mean, I'm trying to do better. So I had to chase a kid around today, and I was like, man, I'm out of shape. I got to get back on like a treadmill or something.
Can't let them know that.
Oh, they didn't know it. I knew it.
Played it off.
I was in until I was alone in my office. Then I was like,
Half hour later, still trying to catch your breath.
yeah, man. Getting some liquids down. Oh, yeah.
We made the old man work for it today.
They certainly did.
And it's only Monday.
It was a great welcome back after spring break.
Yeah, Monday coming right out of
break.
spring break.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Good times. Good times. All right. Well, the news of the day is that former Notre Dame point guard Marcus Burton has signed with Indiana. He's going to be an Indiana Hoosier. He's got 2 years remaining eligibility. We had planned to talk about Cole Serta. We can still talk about Serta as well. He is committed to Clemson. So what do you guys think about these two commitments? Burton going to IU, Serta going to Clemson, Bobby?
I think Burton to IU. I heard Vince last half hour saying that it hurt, but that's just he's leaving Notre Dame and he's local. I understand. I think that IU is a great spot for him because that program's still kind of a sleeping giant, I would say. They're not what they used to be. I don't think they're a blue blood anymore, but they could make a run. They can get better, and he could be a big part of that. And if they can make a tournament, make a run, then it says a lot for his resume as a player. So I think it's kind of cool to see him go there. Sad for both of them to leave Notre Dame, but I think that one's good. Serta going to Clemson, it also hurts because it's like, wow, in conference. But it would be nice to have a roster at Notre Dame. So any player that's transferring hurts kind of bad.
Yeah, I mean, there are some rumblings about, some moves potentially coming. I mean, honestly, they're all kind of like what you would expect. They're lower level guys hoping to make a move up to a bigger conference. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, this actually stings the most that Stymie says here in the YouTube chat. Candy stripe pants, Vince. Marcus Burton's going to be wearing those awful candy stripe pants. This is the thing that neither you nor I can stomach. I get it. It's a tradition. They've been wearing them for I don't know how many years at this point. I just think they're the ugliest thing in the world, seeing those IU basketball players wearing the candy stripe pants. But Marcus, I mean, look, IU basketball has been down for a long time, but like it was literally the dream of every kid in this state to go to Indiana, to go to Bloomington, to play for the Indiana Hoosiers, and Marcus Burton gets to do that now. It's very rare that players from this area end up at Indiana, and that's where he's heading. It definitely stings to see this caliber of player, though, be, so sought after, in the same state and end up with, let's be honest, when it comes to basketball, a higher profile school in comparison to Notre Dame when it comes to men's basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for him. I mean, he's going to play at the mecca of college basketball in the state of Indiana, and I'm sure Purdue fans would argue with that, but it is what it is. I mean, IU has the tradition. They've been down. Do I want to see Marcus Burton lead them back to relevance? I do not. Of course, I would love to see Marcus Burton be successful because I think he's a good kid. But, I will never root for IU. I don't care who's playing for them. So it hurts that he's going to IU. I hate IU with so much passion that it's not even funny. But it's a good move for him. Like I said in the top of the hour, or in the other part of the hour, it was that, he's very tight with his family. And so only going a couple hours down the road makes a lot of sense. They can still go to his games. It's not as easy as going to Notre Dame, obviously, but there can still, if you're going to go to a perennial, or in theory, like a traditional power, that kind of thing. Obviously, they haven't been good recently. I get it. But like IU's about as close as you're going to get. IU, Purdue, Michigan, obviously, Michigan State. Those would have been the ones. And it sounds like IU is always in the mix for him, and that's where he decided to go.
DJ correcting me, by the way, says not every kid wants to go to IU. I mean, for a long time, okay, we don't deal
IU
with
basketball. People need to remember what IU basketball was when, like, you and I were kids. Like, it was where everybody wanted to go. Like, that was a thing.
Same time, Matt Painter has been killing regardless of who the coach is at Indiana. Matt Painter's been killing Indiana. Every coach in at Indiana for like the last 15 years, he has killed them in in-state recruiting. Now, obviously, he didn't get Marcus Burton, but I mean, Purdue is getting it done. Like to see Purdue where they are right now on the national stage, they have completely lapped Indiana a couple of times with where they are competing nationally compared to the Hoosiers right now. And you've got to be embarrassed. If you're an Indiana Hoosier fan, you've got to be very embarrassed about that. The way Purdue has overtaken you in the state of Indiana, both in recruiting and results on the basketball court.
I mean, your main rival is just dominating you on the hardwood, and that's embarrassing. But now all the IU fans are like, "What? It's football! Woo! We're really good in football." And now all of a sudden they don't care about basketball, which is a joke because
they still care. They still care.
Well, they care because IU beat Purdue in a game this year, and that was all I was saying.
Oh, you'd have thought IU won the national title in basketball.
Yeah, I was like, this is still January, February, right? Like this win doesn't mean as much. The Burton stuff hurts a lot because it's a local thing, and I think it also hurts because it's like this is the direction Notre Dame's going to go. If you get a guy in who proves himself, and he's like the most fun guy to watch on the team, he's talented, he could take them to a next level, and they're just going to get bought out by some other college. And it hurts when it's local as well, like IU, but from their perspective, they got to be excited to be getting one heck of a talent.
Yeah. And I mean, to see Burton end up at Indiana, Serta's going to Clemson, not a great college basketball program, but at the same time, like look at the floor. Yeah.
They were what? 1, 2, 3. They're 5th in the ACC this year.
Still in the ACC, still get a lot better. So
24-11 this year. Yeah. They know how to defend their home floor. They were 13-3.
And even Indiana, for being down, they still won 18 games this year.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Look, Marcus Burton will raise their relevance. He's going to raise the floor for them. And we'll see how they do. Again, I hope for success for Marcus Burton, just not for IU.
Exactly, because if they win a basketball championship or make a run, they're already insufferable with the football stuff that they had one championship. If it happens again for basketball,
honestly, it hasn't been as bad as I thought it was.
It really hasn't. I agree with that. It really hasn't, because the IU fans that I know at least understand how this all went down. You know what I mean? And it's like they get it. They're happy, that they won, obviously, and they should be. But they also understand that they were literally the worst college football program in the history of college football up until the middle of this past year.
Ira Shytown in the YouTube chat asks how many Indiana fans would trade the football natty for a basketball natty. I would say most, he says. Do you think most Indiana fans would trade the football championship for a basketball championship?
I don't think most. I think all.
Really?
I think most. All. I wouldn't say all, because you got new fans that weren't IU fans before, and now they're just there for football.
That's true. Like, I wonder how many of the IU fans who traveled to the national championship game and the semifinal, how many actually went to a game in Bloomington when they were students?
Right. Because there weren't many, because I've seen the empty stadium at IU for football games, so there weren't many. I can promise you that. I would say the most of them would trade for basketball, because that's who they are. This is Indiana. Like, this is IU. This is Hoosier basketball. They would trade it in a heartbeat for a basketball title. In a heartbeat.
Yeah, that empty stadium that I used to have for football was so sad. I remember Ball State playing a road game there, and there was more Ball State people excited to be there.
Exactly.
And they beat IU. That's how bad and they, like you said, they know they bought it. They won it. They got through it. But I think I don't think anyone would rather have a football over a basketball championship there, because they would want to get that back.
And look, they still sell out basketball even though they're terrible. Like, so
people just want to see
tell you right there. They weren't selling out football when they were terrible, but they're selling out basketball. So
very true. They're still there.
Well, you called it the Mecca.
I mean, it is.
All right, let's switch back to some football. The pronunciation of player names, always a hot topic, especially on this show. How do you say this guy's name correctly? So Notre Dame football's social media channels had a few Notre Dame football players do their proper pronunciations. and I will play that for you right now.
Some of the mispronunciations of my name is Faison, Faison. The correct way to say it is Faison.
The weirdest ways that people have said my last name, Villamu, Villanueva. Sometimes people just like say different sounds. The right way to say it is Viliamu Asa.
I've been called multiple things: Aeneas, Anais,
Porth, Portath, Parrot. That's got to be the worst.
Some of the worst pronunciations, I've got like Jag Squash, Jigsaw. I get Jagusah a lot, Jagsaw.
Oye, Anye, Aiden, Adonis sometime, Adon. The proper way to say it is Aeneas Lee Williams.
The correct pronunciation is Porath.
Jagusah.
Own, yeah. So own, then yeah. It's really Adon. Some people call me Don, so.
People call me Luke Talik. My name is actually Luke Talich.
The weirdest ways people have said it, T-Rek, Tarek. The correct way, Tarek.
There you go. Tyon, Tiana, Tony. It's really Tion.
Armel Mukam. How you correctly pronounce it is Armel Mukam.
They get my last name wrong. My first name easy is Francis, but they be saying brew-woo, brew-hoo. It's just brew, like brewing coffee, not brew-woo. The U silent.
I've heard Crows and Cross a lot, but it's actually pronounced Cross, Andrew Cross. Some people say my name like Bobakar, but it's really Bubakar Traore.
The weirdest way people have pronounced my name, probably just Kahuna. I get that a lot. Kahanu is how you pronounce my name.
Some people say Ke'on, Kiyon, how to pronounce it, Ki-on.
The weirdest ways people pronounce my name is either Anthonie Knapp or Antonio Knapp, but the right way is just Anthonie Knapp.
The weirdest names people have called me, Devon, Houston. It's Devin. It's Devin Houston, like Evan with a D, and Houston like the city. It's just A-N instead of O-N. Thank you.
There were a lot of them in there.
Man. And a lot of them that I don't feel like people messed up, but maybe they have. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a name that people mess up quite often.
All the time. Yeah, all the time.
It's DeDario. You get a lot of DeDarios.
A lot of DeDario. That's the most common way that people say it. It's DeDario. And a lot of times I don't even correct them because it's just they still screw it up and it's not even worth it. You have always said it correctly, which I appreciate. But yeah, I always say it's like hi ho DeDario. Like that's how you should remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah, people have not really for me, but like hearing my kid like on the PA, like at games and stuff, the butchering of the name has been so poor when it comes to like high school games and stuff, even college games for that matter. Like, oh man, like he won an award last spring and they were, reading his resume. Dabari is what they said his last name was.
Dabari?
That's not
Just
even
dropped
close.
the O, put a B where the second D was, like
Man.
just butchered
That's
the
rough.
snot out of it, man. Like
That's
it was
rough.
bad. It was bad.
See, and I'm sure it's terrible for anyone to hear their name wrong, but when you're an athlete that's always getting interviewed and you just hear
Right.
it's almost annoying. Like, do you even follow this program? Do you even know who I am or what
Yeah.
position I am?
It's credibility, right? Like if
Yep.
I go up to a kid and I'm like, hey, I say his name or he hears me say his name doing something, like I wouldn't give me the credibility if you're saying it wrong.
Well, look, here's part of the problem because like we heard Francis Brew say his
Right.
name. He said it's Brew.
And Pitt
People want to say
let us
Brew Woo.
stray.
When they announced that he was coming to Notre Dame, you remember this, Vince, because we talked about
Yep.
it on the show. I went and found a Pitt Panther pronunciation guide in their game notes, and their pronunciation guide said it is Brew Woo.
Yeah.
They phonetically spelled it out
Yep.
like that, and that's it's happened at Notre Dame as well. Like in the pronunciation guide, they'll have it one way, and then you'll ask a player, and they'll say it a completely different way. So it's like there's only so much we can do. We try, but
It's amazing.
The Jagusah for Charles Jagusah, that's still going to be the toughest one for people to get over because nobody wants to say it that way. It seems.
Well, and he pronounced it Jagusah. I've heard him say Jagusah in
Really?
an interview before.
Okay.
Yes. 100%. And so like that's what makes it weird. It's like Joe Theismann? Like, are you changing the way you're pronouncing your last name? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
sometimes I
frustrating.
wonder if they do that on purpose, like just to mess with us.
Yeah.
Like it's their own little inside joke, like wearing the wrong name tag or something. Because I hear it certain ways, and then I'll go listen back, and I'm like, well, that's not what they said in their own interview. Like you said, so I always tiptoe around names that I don't.
I know, right?
Find a way not to say it.
Seriously, you can't get away with that, Stires. You got to pronounce names all the time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But you're only as good as the information you're given. Like, that's the thing. You know, the sports information guy at the high school came up and asked me how to pronounce our name, and he put it phonetically in the program. It worked like 80% of the time. Like, even the home guy would mess it up at times. In the same game, he would say it 2 different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love getting that card and reading through the names and making sure I can still say it even when it's phonetically put out. Sometimes it's still hard, or you get caught up in a couple letters. Well, I'm sure, Sean, you get the wrong Sean spell all the time for you.
It's actually my last name that's been butchered the most over the
Yours
like when
is
I
so
was
easy.
young. When I was young, Sean, you know, Sean, Sean in the 70s, that was still a relatively new spelling.
Yeah.
Like Sean Connery was like the only other person at that point I had ever seen. And then like Sean Landetta, the Giants punter, came along, but it was like I got a lot of, you know, like when the substitute teacher would come in, it would always be seen stirs, you know, like no, you know, yeah. So I would get like stirs, stries, stars. My drill sergeant called me stars all the time.
That was on purpose.
When I was in basic training, but yeah. So yeah, a lot of different variations of it over the years.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I'm glad that you came out a
Oh, it's
stronger
all
person
right.
on the other side.
Yours is pretty hard to mess up. Bobby Hensley.
Yeah,
I mean,
I get the wrong Bobby spell every now and again, where it'll be Bobbie.
Interesting.
And I'm like, well, that's not the correct way, but I let it go.
All right. Well,
you've called me worse.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. We've at least got the official pronunciations from the guys themselves. So
yeah.
Well,
accountability on it.
I'm not sure I realized it was Onye. I might have said Onye.
Oh, okay.
Jason
I think I've
Onye,
always said Onye.
but he said Onye. Armel Mukum I got right. Tion Gray, that's one that I wasn't sure about. I don't think I'd ever really seen that for the Oregon defensive line transfer.
Yeah, I haven't really said his name that much yet, so I hadn't come down on anything. So I'm glad that now I know what it is, and so that's just what it'll be for me. Because you're right, Jagusah, like that's going to be the hardest one for me.
Yeah,
no
that
doubt.
one will be hard. I was surprised with Aeneas Williams.
His middle name, buddy, Aeneas Lee.
I know. Threw the middle name in there.
Like I'm used to the old cornerback in the NFL saying his name when in the 90s. But hearing his name, I'm like, I'm not even going to try it because I'm going to have a wrong letter in there somewhere. And forget the middle name.
All right. Let's switch gears once again.
All right.
I did, you know, I came up with this question when the North Carolina job was open, the men's basketball job. So my question to you guys, what do you consider the most prestigious men's college basketball head coaching position? What program would it be?
This is hard because I go back to like my entire like growing up time. You know what I mean? So for me, it's Duke. Like Duke was always the team that I hated, but it was also like they were the tops. Like that was the one. And so yeah, Duke or UNC, like those were right up there. So from like it was kind of like if you want to do tiers, right? It was Duke, UNC. It was Arizona in the 90s. It was Kansas. You know what I mean? Like those were kind of like the tip top for me growing up. So like those were the four that always kind of stood out to me. I remember I went to Chicago for something at a high school, and I was just in college, and the kid had signed to go to Arizona. And it was like, this kid is legit. You know what I mean? And that was like in the very early 2000s. You know what I mean? Like Arizona was legit back then. So yeah, those are the four for me, but I would probably put Duke at the top of the list.
Yeah, I think it's Duke, and that hurts me to say because I like North Carolina so much. So I will pivot, and like Too Sloppy Joe says, Kentucky. They have the most Sweet 16s in college basketball history. You look at the pedigree of coaches that have gone through Kentucky. I think that one should be considered at least for top job in the country.
Kentucky. Yeah.
And their history, they've been around. They have some names. They're always good. And then obviously like UCLA was probably in the 70s, but that's fallen off. So I'll go with Kentucky. Then probably I'll put Duke second. Arizona's interesting because I don't know if it's the East Coast media bias, but they're always just kind of there. They're always winning 30 games a year, or 25 to 30, making a good run in the postseason, but they're forgotten about sometimes too.
Yeah, I put Duke at the top of the list, and I think that North Carolina is probably second. And I think it was Josh that said Duke or Kansas. I can't put Kansas ahead of either Duke or North Carolina because Roy Williams left Kansas to go to North Carolina, and then he won multiple national championships at North Carolina before Bill Self finally won a championship at Kansas. Now, Self winning the championship at Kansas, I think kind of, helped bring Kansas back into the conversation. But I think the top four for me, probably I would go Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas. I think maybe Kansas, you could consider them ahead of Kentucky right now just because of recent results. Historically, I think Kentucky is probably ahead, but I think those are probably the top four. It's interesting that nobody's brought up UConn, considering they've won two championships, in the last 4 years, finished runner-up for another one. And in this century, 3 different head coaches have won national championships at UConn.
It's hard for me because I didn't grow up with UConn being super good. You know what I mean? It was always
more recent.
Yeah. It was always UConn in the Big East and, they were tough and, that kind of thing. But it was never, they were kind of an upstart type team. You know what I mean? They weren't now I consider them a blue blood now. Absolutely. But I don't know. It doesn't do it for me.
Calhoun was a big name for UConn.
It was.
For a long time.
Oh, he definitely was.
I don't think they're up in that upper echelon like what you're talking about. And I think if you're a coach, you can't not look at the Cameron Crazies and Cameron Indoor Stadium and not want to coach there.
Right.
So that's why I think that one.
But what you think of it obviously has to do with who the coach is and how successful they are. We still keep Duke on that high level, even though Krzyzewski has obviously retired. John Shire has done well, but he hasn't. He, as we talked about at the time, he hasn't even got his, I think he played for a national championship a couple of years, or he at least got into the Final Four. I don't think he played for a national championship, but he's only been to the one Final Four. And to Duke fans, that's obviously a big letdown. But
sure,
I think that, somebody brought up IU, the fact that IU isn't on the list. Now, obviously, for a long time, Indiana would have been right up there at the top of these lists. So would UCLA. But I'm not considering Purdue an elite position by any means, but right now that job is better than either one of those jobs, Indiana or UCLA.
I don't know how much that's a program or if that's just having a good coach in place right now, though.
Exactly. But I mean, he's obviously doing better than any,
I see. So you're saying
even though
he got them there.
Even though you would probably, a lot of people think of the IU job in a different light as Purdue, just the town itself is so much, the two towns. But the way that Matt Painter has coached Purdue, it's a much better job when you consider the recent success that they've had.
Well,
you can argue that Indiana is kind of a no-win situation considering where the program has been.
That's kind of what I'm saying. What are the expectations of Purdue or IU at this point if you were a coach going into the program?
Yeah. So, and this is what I'm saying. USMA 87 is saying with UConn, I get what you're saying, Vince. You didn't grow up with that, but literally in the last 20 years, Calhoun has won a championship. Yeah. I can't think of what's his name. Yeah, Ollie won a championship, and obviously, they've won multiple championships and been in another championship game with Danny Hurley, whether you like him or not.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at IU and I look at Mike Davis, who made it to the championship game and still got fired a few years later.
Yeah.
So that they still have those expectations, I guess, but I don't think of it as top job. And UConn, like, I think you can put them in the top 5, but over Kentucky, over Kansas, over UNC, over Duke, I just don't see it yet.
We're going to have to start winding down as we wrap up the show here today.
Are you
Bobby,
saving the Mount Rushmore, or are we going to it? Because
we're going to have to save the Mount Rushmore
right.
because we've got
All
1 minute to go.
I told
did my homework and everything.
Yep,
man,
I did too.
I'll save it till next Monday. I'm good.
Yeah,
don't lose
I'm
it.
Good.
Appreciate you, Joe. He says, great Monday show. Hit the like on the way out. We did our best. I feel like we're all like refreshed. We're energized after a little bit of time off last week. Bobby is threatening to come in tomorrow. Actually.
Whoa.
So
I'll save my Mount Rushmore, though. You don't have to worry about that.
I know.
Yeah. I want to be a part of that one.
Here. Trevor's going to be here in the first hour with me tomorrow.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. haven't seen Trevor on the show in quite a while. All right, we've got not South Bend Cubs baseball, but I think we've got the Cubby Corner coming up.
No,
at 7:00 here. A little South Bend Cubs baseball talk. All right, we will talk to you tomorrow, guys. Appreciate it as always. We will talk to you later. Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat with IrishBreakdown.com.